There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues, with capital the heart of their design? When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no, which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print and say that this thing has got to go, and we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
Okay. Hello, cousins. Glad to be with you. Jared is here. He's refilling his coffee. So okay, good. We're back on. He's here with us. Okay, cool. What? Maybe.
No, I just died the second my internet went down. It's still playing the theme song and it's doing a screen I've never seen, which is like, you don't have a connection. I'm like, well, how am I seeing this then if I don't have a connection?
Right? It's the wonderful world of tech problems when you tune into an episode. You never know what it's going to be. That's the fun thing. We don't know what it's going to be. You don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be a surprise for everybody. A couple of weeks ago, my entire system, my whole thing just shut down. So there was nothing there, for a minute. So we all get to figure it out together with our American internet, guys. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're glad that you could be with us on such a miserable, horrible week. But before we get into the gloom and doom, which is pretty much all there is to talk about lately, our own mayor, Jared, has a birthday coming up. So we want to tell Mr. Jared, who we love so much and are so glad to have here commiserating with us on our misery hour here lately. Sometimes we have good news. Mostly we don't. Well, I shouldn't say news anyway. We just have opinions, really. We're not breaking any stories here. We just are clever and like to say things and are frustrated. But before we get into all that negativity, happy birthday, Jared. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. That will be on Thursday is the actual day. I don't know if you said that or not, but if you want to...
Yeah, make sure you send him lots of birthday tweets.
If you want to do something for my birthday, either buy my music or stream it for free. It's on everything under Pepper Coyote.
Yes. Yeah, we get the Clark Kent version when he's on the show, because otherwise he goes by one Mr. Pepper Coyote. So yeah, you can find all of his music, and that's the theme song too. If you are new to the show, he gave us that fantastic.
It is me. Oh, who clipped out that time? Was it me or you?
It was me, I think.
Because I clicked a window.
World of tech problems.
I clicked a window just as it happened. I'm like, did I somehow break it by clicking a different window?
No, that time it just shut me down. So anyway, if you didn't hear the last thing I said, it was that yes, Jared composed and performs our wonderful theme song, which I'm always kicking it to. So if you like that, then go and check out his actual music and support indie artists. Of course, support indie artists.
Thank you very much.
The mainstream people, the mainstream authors, the mainstream artists, the mainstream musicians, they only basically exist. You might like them, and that's cool, but they really only exist to make money for companies. So if you want, you want stuff that's not the same cookie cutter stuff that you hear everywhere or see everywhere or read everywhere from the same 5 people, then you have got to go indie all the way. And remember also that they don't need your money. We do.
Assuming I can make it work, I have a music video and a new song that I can play at the end of today. Assuming I can make it work. We'll
Yes.
see.
Okay. Yeah. If not, then we'll try to get it for you next week. That
We'll
would
do our
be
best.
excellent. I love that. That's fantastic. So okay, yeah. So this week has been white hot hell. Emphasis on the white because they're most of the
They're
country is
shooting
under.
honkies in the
You
streets all over the place now. That's just a thing that happens.
know, yeah. I mean, as this is going on, most of the country is under multiple feet of snow with probably more on the way. So that's pretty miserable for a lot of people. But as well as that, I mean, we also have snow, we have ice
Oh, that's
terrorizing
I
the
didn't
country.
actually know what
Oh
you were
yeah,
alluding
so
to. Sorry.
clever, right? I
It
did
is
not
also
plan
snow.
that. I did not stand in the mirror and be like, we have snow and ice. No. I swear to God. So no, but that's what's going on. I mean, like, draw the parallel if you wish, but that's where we are. And we started the week with kidnapping of a.
Stop.
Do we lose
No.
me again?
I'm on the. Wait, maybe it will work.
Not yet.
That was the like add media to this thing button. It's like, oh, you mean play it right now? It's like, no.
No. Right? No, not right now. Wait till I tell you.
That's good news then.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, winter storm. Keep going.
Yeah, well, anyways, yeah, most of the country's under a winter storm or at least severe cold. More on the way. We have ice terrorizing the country. We started off from our week show to show with ice kidnapping and using a 5-year-old child as bait so we start there. I mean,
What a coincidence!
Right?
You'll never believe what window I have immediately open, ready to go.
Oh, is that the one?
Hey,
Yeah.
there it is.
This is where we begin, and then we end with another ice murder. Another ice murder. This is now at number 3. And in between there,
Look who's talking. How sad they are.
oh,
It's
right, and
the
that's the
Democrats.
whole issue. And I think there's something that needs to be really this is really just obvious. People just are maybe just starting to wake up to. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is if there were any branch of government, any dissenting Republicans, any Democrats, anybody in government whatsoever who was not benefiting from this and completely on board with it, they would be raising fucking hell, okay? Just like just like the people of Milwaukee tried to do. They would be raising hell.
Yeah, remember this whole group of people that would talk about how like the state wants to secretly murder all white people or whatever, and now we have the state murdering white people and
right. Well, you know what? I might be getting a little too big for my britches here, but the thing of it is this really doesn't equate with no government pushback, with no dissension, with just the media. We don't have to pay. The Democrats voted to give them more money, give ICE more money. They're sitting here saying the lack of body cams are the problem. Right? It's
I keep hearing lack of training. It's like
right. It's like
these guys were hired 10 years ago. Like the guy who shot Good, the lady, he was hired by Obama, and then the guy who shot the other dude was hired like by the next ad. Like none of them are new. This isn't like I ran in, got my bonus, and then shot a guy.
Self-killing her. They want to be doing this. So again, I might be a little far afield here, but I feel like we kind of like see things coming pretty well on the show. But it seems to be, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it does seem to be that the government is trying to start a civil war with people. I don't see the end game. I don't see the purpose. I don't get the idea unless we're literally talking about the evangelism versus of everything else, which is what's basically run the government for the past 20, 30 years.
I don't know if they want a civil war necessarily, but they definitely want like private security state, like these days of lead. I think that's like the risk they run, is that if you push this stuff too far towards your private security state, because that's kind of what this is becoming, where it's like, what is it? Not average, like on the ground, boots on the ground, whatever, libertarians, but like libertarian leadership. Like if you look at the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, who exists to just like make libertarians look bad, but they are no longer like, oh, you can't. You would think they'd be against all. It's like, well, you see, the government can't do it, but if it's private security, then it's fine. So you're going to end up with this, like we've talked about before, where the absolute richest, you get like your little area, and then you just pay guards to hang out outside, and it becomes a whole lot of like, well, you shouldn't have been near my private goofy security guards if you didn't want to get shot or beat up, but like that's what we're headed towards. But if it gets pushed too far, yeah, you get a straight up you end up with a straight up civil war, which doesn't really help anyone.
I really don't see the benefit of that. And also, if we get to, I hope we do. Jared's much more smarter in economic matters than I am, but we are seeing, as we have predicted a lot on the show, that the people with the money will take it away, and people will stop doing international trade with the United States. And what country was it that just got rid of the dollar? They're like, fuck it, and they liquidated. Like, it just happened in this last week, but I forgot.
Oh, D-dollar.
I memory hold who it was. It was a country that just sold all their.
I know that China and Cuba are now doing transactions for oil not in dollars, but I don't think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I can't even remember what I'm talking about. I just saw one of those maps where it's like all the squares on it. It's like some country just sold all of their stock or all of their holdings. I don't know. I'll get some more intel on that.
The thing that keeps
I think you tweeted about it towards the beginning of the week, but I can't remember exactly what.
The thing that has me less hot on, like, we used to talk about BRICS a lot, like, oh, they're going to do like an alternative currency and get rid of the U.S. dollar. I didn't have a great understanding of just the depth of when things are backed by U.S. treasuries. It's not that like, oh, there are many options and we will simply switch to a different. The U.S. doesn't. It means that effectively the U.S. owns all of money, like all of money.
Right.
Like it's essentially it's V-Bucks and you're in Fortnite. It's like, well, I'll simply switch to a different kind of currency. It's like, you can't. It's Fortnite. We only take V-Bucks. The entire global economy is like, well, just switch to. You can't. It's all U.S. dollar. That's what gold actually kind of is. That's where gold is just going crazy. It's all over the place. Like, it's high, it's low. This country's buying gold. Germany's demanding all of its gold back. Like all these various. Goldman Sachs just fired their gold guy. You know, like.
Yeah. Yeah, I will circle back on that, on whatever it is that I'm trying to say, because there's been so much to kind of just put in the brain this week that's just part of.
I don't have a whole thing on this, but just because it is the closest I'll ever be to topical. Commies that I like and who've studied more than me, they'll say that the move to make, if you're a small country, if you're just like, I don't know, like El Salvador or like Sweden or whoever, just some random country, let's just say global South countries, because NATO countries don't really apply to this. The strategy that they recommend and that could happen is they're like, look, either you sell out your people or you get taken over and sold out. So a move you could make before they can come in and, like, you know, mercenary replace you and do a regime change or whatever, dollarize. Switch to the U.S. dollar and reduce your work week. Start putting in all kinds of rules where it's like, look, we have a 40-hour work week now, and we use U.S. dollars, and we observe the American minimum wage. So then, when America comes in and tries to do its weird flip thing, it can't, like, depreciate your currency. You're using dollars. What are they going to do? Depreciate the dollar? They can do that shit with pesos, but it's if you're just all on the same currency, they can't do their weird shadow shell game nonsense to, like, screw you over and pay you nothing and use your citizens as, like, little slaves in a foreign country. So it sounds strange, but if you work it through economically, mathematically, like policy-wise, how many options that would take off of the table for the U.S. regime, I kind of see where they're coming from, and it makes El Salvador's moves make a little bit more sense. Because he's like, look, Milei down in Argentina, just dollarize. Yes, your economy's going to be effed up for like a few months, but it'll eventually settle back down, as opposed to keep coasting and doing this, and eventually the U.S. will just, like, look at Venezuela. They'll come in and just flip you. Like, sorry, we didn't like what you're doing.
That's kind of, Venezuela right now is kind of in a holding pattern. It's sort of, we go back and forth between international and national insanity. And right now,
we shoot this guy to distract from how Venezuela was like a big nothing burger.
Right, and then I don't know. I think it's all just a distraction for the Epstein files. Really, I mean, that's what we're basically looking at. They're trying to think that they can get out of it by doing global domination and shooting people. But that's what I mean, right? Yeah. So we sometimes we're like, oh, Venezuela, Palestine, and then other days we're like, oh, ICE. So that's where we are right now. We're on domestic terrorism right now. So did you lose the screen, or was that?
No, I just took it off because we were talking about. I got like 20 different tweets of like, look at these really good points made about how the Democrats don't do anything. It's been interesting watching various people are having a lot of reactions to this. The bots, I swear it's bots, are choosing now to be like, you should have voted for Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah, no. It also they tune to keywords. Like if you say certain keywords, you know, even like buzzwords or keywords like Kamala Harris, and that's where then they flock to, or however their algorithms work. You know, I can't stress this enough that these companies have said that they have flooded their own platforms with, you know, non-living human people, and this is all just engagement farming. The more that you argue with who you, even if you like you don't know if it's a person or not, but they get you heated enough to argue with it, that's another minute spent on their platform. So this is engagement farming of the highest order. And that's also how you know that social media is essentially a failure. The way that it's been managed is it's become a great failure because of they've had to flood their platforms with algorithms essentially to try and keep you there.
All right.
Yes.
Let's talk about some ice
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah,
we had another guy.
We've belayed it as long as we could, guys. So
I won't rehash the story of the latest shooting because I'm sure you've all heard about it. You've all seen enough footage, etc. We're not here to like litigate anything.
It's what you saw. It is what it is.
It fits into my point I'm going to be looking at here because it's like with I don't remember her first name. It's with Miss Good, where it's like you can't was it George Floyd? You are out of this. She wasn't on any drugs. She doesn't have a criminal record. They don't have like. Even though that is in no way a justification for killing a guy in the street for like using a fake 20 or whatever it was, not saying any of that, but those excuses just aren't there. So it takes a lot more like bullshitting to get people around to be able to like, okay, how can I possibly still say that it's that guy's fault? But before I hit that, just that you saw that 5-year-old earlier, the now slightly famous picture. It's sad. He got like this 5-year-old kid got pushed out of the news cycle because they shot another guy. So like you don't get to focus on any of them.
This was disgusting enough on its own to should have been held within murder. So
we got this shot, which is a drawing today. This is from a while ago. A drawing today made by a 5-year-old girl at Dilley Detention Center and member of the El Gamal family. It's like, look, this is a child who just turned 5. They've spent 20% of their life in jail mathematically because they've just been hanging out there for like 8 months, he says. And then you have the 5-year-old taken by ICE. Blah, blah, blah. The concentration camp that both of these children are being caged in was opened by Obama and Biden, handed off to Trump, overfilled by Biden and Harris, and then handed back to Trump again. And they gotta be bots. There's no way real people are saying that, if only you had voted for Kamala Harris. Kamala, who ran on, I will be tougher on the border than Trump.
That was her first campaign ad with her glad handing ICE agents, or they may have been actors, but like ICE agents, as you're supposed to understand it. And that was her first thing that like right out of the gate, that's where it came from.
Smart people on the right, I hate these directions, will point out that, they're doing this, how I will bring up that Obama deported more people, and Trump is not on pace to beat him in even his second term, that Obama, and like, it does not matter which party. Smart people will point out, they're doing these big spectacle crazy, and it's not in every state. People were asking, I think it was before streaming, like, hey, is ICE in Arizona? I'm like, ICE is in every state, but you'll see that certain places are like, okay, this is where we're gonna just cause an insane amount of chaos, get things on camera. So you have these like big flashy, like chasing people in the street type deportations that usually get thrown out in court anyway, because we do have some rules here. Again, usually, not always, where this all seems to be cover for like Tyson Chicken, Walmart, like name a factory, name a sweatshop, people who are importing slave labor. Like, yes, I feel in my heart very bad for people who are in such a terrible situation, but you can't just say, well, because I feel bad, let the slavery continue.
Right.
That sounds like we're doing slavery for the benefit of the slaves, and that's just the argument I hear from like liberals. We hear, we have to keep all of these immigrants here, paying them almost nothing, making sure that they can never, they will never organize, they will never form a union, they'll never go on strike, overthrow whatever, because they do not get brought here. Again, brought here. People don't just come here like, oh no, I have nothing. When you go to any other country, you'll stand in the airport and there's big posters. Beware of human trafficking. If you've been promised a job in America, it's probably horse shit. Do not let anyone take your passport. I'm like, so everyone else knows that that's the scheme. It's not, give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. This is, all right, Tyson, we need 10,000 more people to throw into this meat grinder of an industry, and then if they lose a finger or whatever, deport them. Like, they aren't going after that. If you actually want to go after illegal labor, slave labor in the modern world, in the modern context, you don't run around and throw people's cars off the street and find a 5-year-old and shove him over and then shoot a white guy, and then that's not how you do any of this.
Right.
And you know what kind of guy?
It was so effective under Obama, Biden, and Biden-Harris.
Because we just go to sleep. Everybody just
they did it. Yeah, and then you have exactly what you just said. You've got the liberals doing the verbal gymnastics about like, they are containment.
We're gonna slow the spread of slavery. That was a COVID reference there. I'll talk while I assume it's Nicolette gets back on her internet. You're
Yeah,
back, probably.
I got a flash that is like it did disconnect me.
They're short ones today, everybody. Short flashes of bad internet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, send us some good vibes here. But yeah, just to kind of to catch up with what you're saying, that is correct. It's like they changed the language, they softened the language with Biden, Obama.
That's a kid going to a cage. In a few years, it's going to be in a child in a migrant detention facility.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the term. Migrant detention center. They softened the language. You had the two shades of AOC, one out there like angry and crying, and the next one like, it's fine, it's a detention. They got to go somewhere, guys. They got to go somewhere. So
she's in my tabs. She's getting some of this. So you know what kind of guy is being lost by this? You know what level we're at of people who actually hold thoughts in their heads and have principles, things that don't change just because my team says this. If you are a Second Amendment person and people are talking about, well, that second guy who got shot, that would be God, was it Pretti? Pretti or Pretty? The guy's last name was.
I've heard Pretti.
It's like a VA nurse, hiker. Right. He's like the most wholesome possible kind of guy imaginable, who worked for the Veterans Administration. Like, how are you going to say, like, this anti-American terrorist? It's like, dude, he worked for he literally went up to veterans.
American through and through. Like, this is 100% American guy.
This is the guy in the ads. Like, this is in a political ad, is this guy. Like, this is the model American. And then you got Jake Shields. If you don't know who Jake Shields is, he's an MMA guy who is very popular amongst right-wing people because he goes really hard on like how immigration's bad, et cetera, et cetera. But because he has principles, he ends up being like, well, I supported Kyle Rittenhouse being armed at BLM riot, so I would be hypocritical if I opposed a leftist doing the same. Yes! It is actually not illegal to bring guns to your protest. In America, it's barely illegal to bring a gun anywhere. And these are the people who argue that I should be able to have six shooters in the line for Chipotle. But they're like, well, we're going to a place that's actually, I'm now just in public, where you don't even in most states need a license to have a firearm.
No.
You can just carry.
In some states you can do concealed carry without a license.
Yeah. I think Arizona, you can open carry no matter what, and then you need a license for concealed if it's like a handgun. I don't remember, but I can just walk down the street strapped, and it is not a problem at all. And I don't even think that necessarily should be. It'd be weird. It makes people go like, huh? But
yeah, we've all seen pictures of the idiots doing that kind of shit where they've got like 200 guns on them, and it's like, you are stupid.
Apparently, this dude's mistake was having a concealed pistol that he never reached for ever in an altercation. He should have had like 10 bazookas just out, and they never would have even walked up to the guy. Like, I'm not even really joking with this. If you're walking around with the AR, it seems far less likely that the cops are going to come fuck with you.
Right,
Not that
yeah,
you should...
and there do seem to be groups of people who have been doing this.
And groups,
kind of
yes.
On the fringes.
You know they weren't going to go after some skinny white guy with his big gun with 7 other people all...
Right, yeah.
That's what we're down to. We're into like the gangs have to like, all right, we're going to arm up. You're going to arm up.
And then you also get, the first follower syndrome where it's like, everybody, all of these agents are just absolutely juiced and ready to do murder. Like that is like their whole deal. They're ready to go. So look, when the first guy pulls the first shot, then everybody else is like, light him up because
this is kind of a millennial thing. I feel like the millennial psyche, we're all kind of, because we've been juiced up for like, so we're all ready to either kill or die for something. And I'm over here kind of, it's not that you shouldn't care.
It's not ready like my principles say that I need to get in the street and die for, no, it's just that like we expect that the cops are going to fucking kill any one of us for any reason and everything's going to be like on their side about it. So
we know that that's how it works. And I never want to say out loud, like, don't protest, but it's like protest strategically. And this seems to be just another one where it's like, all right, the cops are all ready. Come out. Let us beat you up, put you on a list, take pictures of your shit.
Or shoot you while you're handcuffed in the street.
Or potentially shoot you. Like,
right? Yeah. And that's something I mentioned before that we went on air, which is just that at this point, it's just, oh, wait, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. I forgot what I was going to say.
And just
so much in a few minutes before air.
And just to be clear what the guy's responding to, it's Kash Patel who says, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. And it's like, yes, the fuck you can, every founding father. It's like, yes,
yeah, right?
Kind of what this country was actually about.
Oh, I remember what it was. It's just that, and it goes along with that as well. It's just that, like, we have been sat here like we in the show, I mean us too, like in particular, have been sit here like you need to do this, but don't do this, and you need to do this, and you don't do this, and then by the time that everybody gets wise to it, like what they did in Minnesota, which is or Minneapolis, I think more specifically, is they called it a general strike. It was supposedly called on by the local unions pretty late in the game for this, and that's kind of the point. It's like we keep kind of waffling back and forth, like do this, don't do this. We need to do national strike. We need to do general strike. But then by the time the people actually put something into motion, even though the intention is there, it's too late. And that's how we ended up. We kind of circle back to no, we need to do shadow government now. That's where we are because
dual power. It's called dual power.
I like shadow government. That sounds cooler.
We have a shadow government.
Okay.
The dual power shit is out in the open.
Yeah, but that's basically what we're talking about. The rise of dual power, yes. Because just getting in the street thing in sub-zero weather, really cool, but and really intentional, but also that's another no King's protest, guys. Like, I hate to break it to you, but
we had what was referred to as a general strike in Minneapolis almost a week ago now, the 23rd, like last Friday, and there were various unions.
They wanted and again to recap on that real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but to recap on that really quick, it was called on by some local unions, which again we like to take cues from unions. They're the ones that are supposed to call strikes. But it was supposed to be for like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they're like, no school, no work. Okay, like so one day off of those things because you don't really. A lot of people work and you definitely don't go to school on the weekend.
And as far as I know, businesses did not close. Maybe some did, but like I think you could still go to CVS downtown.
Yeah, and that's sort of the point. Like they were like, we're going to do it, and it's like, okay, well, you wouldn't do anything like when like people are getting genocided in Palestine, but now you decided like this is the hill you're going to die on, or just at least pretend that you care a little bit. And it is giving people an outlet. That's not the like against what we're saying here, but this also is just very not effective at this point in the game.
It's not that I want people to do nothing, but when strategies are proven ineffective, it's not even that they're ineffective. This did work in the past. Like you can see some evidence of success in like the 70s, but they just know how to deal with it now. It's just been okay. We've now adjusted. Like to pretend that we have this like unthinking quote enemy. It's not like I don't want to like anthropomorphize the thing. It's a dead robot empty system that's running under its own weight that like I always talk about. But it adjusts and compensates for certain moves. Like if you're at work and you think you figured out a way to, oh, cool, I can get paid to do even less. Yeah, there will eventually be a policy that prevents that kind of stuff, or they'll install cameras, whatever. Like everything gets how it is for a reason. Walmart didn't start out with, no, you can't have the spoiled food and take it home. They eventually get there through going, oh, our employees take the food and then they don't give us money. And then, we don't just say protests are dumb from first principles, but if you're doing protests,
it's kind of outdated at this point.
It can't be stand in the street and make a line, and then the cops beat you up, and we all, I had a fun day. Okay, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, right. On this weekend, and that's again kind of what we're talking about here. Is just like, it's a gesture, it's an attempt, but it's too late, and it's an empty gesture ultimately.
I like that they're at least calling it. They're trying to call like, okay, I've heard of a general strike. What's that? Does that do things? Like, we're getting. I would love to see if it's okay, and then if it keeps escalating, like if not even escalating, just changing. If there is okay, here is the results of that. Let us now do this. Like, that would be nice. That would be like an intelligent way to go about it.
And again, we are living in the post George Floyd world here, which what that resulted in, because those protests were so big and so intense, and there was violence involved and property destruction, that led to the result of cop cities in every major city at this point now. So they are going to always, the people with the resources are always going to be ahead of the people. And that's why I said, is this, are they trying intentionally to start a civil war with people? What is the end game? What is the purpose? But yeah, usually I come through with the historical context, but Jared's got some good historical
I want to look it up because I've mentioned Seattle, and like what we're going on here, what I'm getting at here is, what is a general strike? Because it's it's a word that's thrown around. Like, what is a general strike? Here's an example of that'd be really hard to not call a general strike. 1919. So this is beginning of the Great Depression, right? like just exiting World War One, and as they'll say in the article here, this act may have had less impact because there was just a lot of stuff going on. Like this kind of stuff was going on all over the country. There were disruptions and basically peasant uprisings. We keep having peasant revolts of all the poor people who come. And once that reaches a certain level of organization, then hey, it's a class conscious proletarian revolt, and that'd be pretty sexy. But it's why we ended up with the New Deal. This kind of thing is why you got FDR being like, okay, we can't just let the economy completely collapse every 10 years, so let's put in some safety rails here. And that's been just gradually disassembled over the last century, and we're starting to remember why it happened, because now the peasant uprisings are kind of starting again.
Right. And this was also, in 1919, we were also experiencing the Spanish flu epidemic as well. So, like, that's...
Oh, right. There's
Spanish flu is going on, so that's trashing things. And Great Depression's on the way. It's, things are trending that direction.
Yeah.
So shit's not good. I mean, basically like now. So
she's masked up.
There you go.
I was like, what was happening? All right. So this was an article from 2019, so like 100 years ago. And
100 years.
This is Seattle Times. Here we are. It's difficult to imagine a similar collective action today in a city that, despite a still beating heart of unionism, is best known as a place where the major local boss, Amazon, diligently staves off worker bargaining via perks, including valuable stock and free bananas. See, this guy's funny. In the break room, there's some bananas, so don't hold your breath. All ye card-carrying
not even a pizza
members.
Party, just free bananas and water.
You can tell this is like a fun article they wrote a few years ago. All ye card-carrying members of the proletariat, and ye bean counters who manage them, were not likely to be struck by a rerun of the famed general strike, in which 60,000 workers, including striking shipyard workers representing all 110 unions, oh my god, of the Seattle Central Labor Council. What? That's one city that has 110 unions and a Central Labor Council. Like, things were different.
Yeah, as it
like
should be.
we were like, it was like commies were. It's like, man, it's about to happen, man. Like, this shit was like, ooh, we just watched Russia do it. The first people ever again. It was a very different kind of time in American and world history. All right, effectively shutting down a city of only 300,000 people back then, of 315,000 people for nearly 6 days. When we talk about general strike, it's not general protest, which we had. That was a general protest, and it's nice. You go out and you all feel good, and hopefully that leads to something, because if that's all it ever becomes, it's kind of wasting your time.
Was made.
Why then, 100 years hence, does the legendary Great Strike of Seattle Strike of 1919, long considered a quickly fizzling failure, still matter? Well, they talk about that because they don't want you to do it again. For one, it launched a year of tumult that many historians identify as the symbolic end of the U.S. progressive era. For another, its causes, effects, and aftermaths are used to evaluate where we were, in contrast with where we are, all part of the ongoing quest to figure out how the heck we got here. So I'm going to go down because he does like a myth truth thing, which is funny and almost a little telling. You can see the perspective that this is written from a bourgeois intellectual. The strike became famous because it was a national first and established a winning precedent for U.S. labor actions. Not exactly. Although this is the truth to that myth. Not exactly. Although the general, involving all unions in a given place, nature of the strike was unique at the time, other citywide strikes had occurred before it. This one collapsed in less than a week, due largely to unexpectedly fierce opposition. It did, however, have, because it was working. The more they freak out at you, the more like, oh, we were doing something there.
Right.
It did, however, have other important long-term implications for labor, not all of them as bad as earlier history suggested. Like, he has to write this from the angle of, it was probably bad. Like, this was a bad thing that happened. And we're all sitting here like, that's awesome. I would love if... To prepare for the Seattle General... Like, look at this. They got 2 U.S. Army battalions to come and, like... I guess shoot the civilians in the city. Like, this is not new shit. I wonder how many were actually gunned down. All right. Oh yeah, sorry. I was looking for that word. The strike occurred when enough. Oh, here's the myth. This is a funny one because in the truth he goes like yes, but no. Myth. The strike occurred when enough workers in enough industries finally became sufficiently enraged with their own working conditions that they banded together in an attempt to shut down the city. So like there was working class solidarity. And he's like, that was a myth. But then he says, there was. Strikes shared a degree of common hope for the betterment of all working folks, but the action was, at heart, a sympathy strike with the 35,000 shipyard workers who were demanding that employers make good on promises of better wages made throughout World War I. Those goals were not achieved. It's funny because he's like, people think this was a big general strike where everyone was just kind of coming together in solidarity, when in reality, it was shipyard workers, and then everyone came together in solidarity with the shipyard workers. It's like, yes, they did it. I guess those goals were not achieved, because they must have, as is American tradition, starting from the Revolutionary War. They promised the soldiers X, Y, and Z, and then afterward, they're sitting there like, what happened? And they're like, I don't know you. Like, there was a march on Washington in like 1779 or whatever of like one-legged Revolutionary War veterans, and they violently suppressed that. Like, no, get the fuck out of here. Like, it's gotta be weird to be a current soldier shoving away a veteran, being like, hey man, they're not gonna give you the shit they said they were gonna give you. Like,
Yeah. Right? America.
the strike was an Here's a myth. The strike was an organizational disaster. I'm just gonna shorten these so I can do more of it. The truth. The strike actually shines in retrospect in its meticulous planning. Although nearly every business in town was shuttered, that's a key thing, people. It's not a general strike if you go downtown, protest, then go to the coffee shop, then go to CVS to get some water, then go to Kmart. Like, if those shits are open, it's not a general strike. What you would do in a general strike is you would forcibly close any business that did not want to vibe with you. You essentially picket line in front of, like, no one's doing anything, no commerce is happening, the city is closed for business. That's what a general strike is.
Right. Yeah. Anybody who's not willing is forced into doing it.
Because it's like, I don't think it's the employees in Macy's who are forcing this shit to be open. Bring your boss out. We'll talk to him. We just want to talk.
Exactly.
And I actually mean that. I'm not saying you go fucking lynch people. That's stupid. Although nearly every business in town was shuttered, the streets largely empty and quiet, store shelves bare from pre-strike they didn't let shit in. They had nothing to sell. That's how you can do a general strike. And some rich people's homes sitting empty as their inhabitants fled the city because they thought they're going to get dragged out of that effing house. That's when you know you're doing a general strike, when the rich people just leave. Like, we'll be back. Well, I mean, Ted Cruz got on his plane for that snowstorm. Was that confirmed, or was that a meme? Did he flee Texas again?
I just assume that he did. Who cares if we're right or wrong about it? He's done it before. There's
a picture of him on a plane. It's like, he's going to Laguna Beach. And I'm like, I don't doubt it. He's done it before.
Yeah, right?
It was Cabo last time. Strike organizers had drawn up plans to ensure most essential civic needs were met, using union labor. Because remember, it's a bunch of workers. If everyone's striking as workers, like, how do we get things done? It's like, well, we're the people who are already doing it, so we'll just do it.
And again, remember, the purpose of this is for the people to get what they want, you know, and it may even be the bare minimum of good treatment.
And their demands were not met. You should keep that in mind. This was technically a failure. Like, even this.
And also every generation was like, okay, well, they made a little bit of progress. So now all the rich people and the owners and the stockholders and the corporations are going to figure out how to take that back and make it worse. And that's how you get 20 whatever the hell. That's how you get now. That's how things are. It's like you owe nothing and you will be happy about it. You will live in dog shit world. Like, you have hot dog debt at Costco. Like, this is how you end up in
private security state.
That's how you end up how things are now, because they just follow all these other movements, uprisings, things like this, ideas like rights that were given to people. They just worked on it until they figured out a way to eke away at every single bit of progress that anybody had ever made, and mostly doing it quietly and trying to sell you something in the process, or, you know, flashing social media at you so that you think that you got something and you're distracted. So, and that's how we end up where we are now.
Or they'll go in the streets and just start like being crazy and be like, look, see, we're doing it. We're doing something.
But we have reached the breaking point. That's the whole thing. Like, people are, they are not pacified now. They can't afford food. They can't afford to live. Everything has been taken away to such a great degree. They used to kind of throw you a bone a little bit to shut you up. And we've talked about that quite a bit. Like, why don't they just give people food and weed? Everybody shut the fuck up. And they basically would. I mean, except for loudmouth leftists like us, like people basically would be like, life's pretty good right now. So
Well, that was the 90s. The 80s and 90s were that. We were all paid off enough that people weren't as not
right.
enough
And then
people were
they
bothered.
took away, they wheedled all that away, and then left us, with nothing.
No pension, no nothing.
Yeah, and it's nothing. It's nothing. And go fuck yourself. It's not just like they're not doing this sneaky shit behind closed doors anymore. It's out in front. People come up to a podium and be like, tap tap, go fuck yourself, and then bounce. Right. So that's where we are now.
So yeah, they mentioned that throughout the strike, essential services were continued. People were fed. Like the city did not turn into freaking bedlam on fire, etc. Because these are the same exact. It kind of just furthers my point. Or the general commie and anarchist here. A bone, I throw you. A rope. Hello, anarchists. The general principle of like that. Oh, we just couldn't run society without these like kings and queens telling us what to do. And it's like we're already the people doing it. We're the only ones. Look outside. Point at a thing that was built by somebody for minimum wage. Like no rich guy came down and fucking installed the sidewalk or fucking paved a street. It's people getting paid peanuts build the entire world. The computer I'm using right now. Okay. You get my point. Yeah. Though brief, the strike, here's the myth. Though brief, the strike must have been an unprecedented shock to the system. Like, this is a big deal, right? And it's like, only if one ignores all the other prior and concurrent calamities of the era, which were immense and mostly owing to the fighting and reverberations of the war. The labor movement also was just like, it jumped on this. Like, oh, we're in a war. We're in a weakened state right now. U.S. is having a hard time. They're in debt, etc. And this is, remember, the U.S. barely even participated in World War I. And it still was a big old deal on all of our resources and all these things. And our I can't say very mature because it eventually died, but our maturing labor movement seized on that stuff. That's when we had the strongest communist party we've ever had. We had like 5 of them.
Right, yeah.
And
there were communist workers parties as well that were smaller, like kind of like mini unions.
Like unions within the unions.
Yeah, unions within the unions, right? And then there was, I can't remember where, but in the 70s there was an incident where a communist workers party was opposing the literal Klan in their town or city, and then the Klan fucking killed them. And everybody's like, nah, shouldn't have been a public with a gun then. Should have done what you were told by when the cop said stop, So that's about how that went.
Where are we? Lucrative wartime government contrasts to a dozen local shipyards had made Seattle a boom town, with results that might sound familiar. Tens of thousands of new workers had fled the city, creating housing shortages. Rent, generally deemed too damn high. Man, Seattle had messed up rent even 100 years ago. And a sidewalk vibrancy and skittishness frowned upon by the disapproving old guard. It's like, this wasn't as big of a deal just because, like, the whole country was kind of in, like, a rebuild. Well, entering the Great Depression would be really the way to go about it.
Right.
Look at
the major stock market crashes in 29, so we were, but coming off the war and with the pandemic, you're on the Wii, so it was happening.
Look at this shot of black people in Seattle in 1919. But they talk about how Nicolette's out again. It's back. It's just little flickers today. The internet's generally stable, but it's got flickers. So we got they talk about how you'd go off to war. The guys who went off to war from Seattle came back, and it's like there's a whole different city here. Yeah. 9 out of 10 adults.
This is the story of how one city 100 some years ago did.
I do think it's interesting that the bourgeois intellectual here is like, actually, everyone was so racist that nothing could happen. Like, that seems to be what he's saying. It's like, they came back, who are all these immigrants?
I mean, like, maybe not completely wrong on that. That does always seem to get in the way of any social movement.
It's not that it doesn't exist, but it is stoked by the bosses. It is used as a tool, like all of these things. Like, there might be a tiny grain maybe in someone's soul that they have this thought, but then that is expanded upon to be like, look, all of your like we do it right now with ICE, all of your problems are because some Mexican is here, and we're not even going to go after the slave labor class of immigrants that would actually potentially raise American wages, force that kind of thing. We're instead going to, get a 5-year-old out of preschool and do like, these freaking shock and awe.
It's like that meme. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a meme. I'm not sure the historical length of time that this has been around, but it's where you see the rich man sitting across the table from a white man, and saying like, this is the guy that's taking your job, and it's a black man, like, right? Like, this is the one you should blame. Like, they could always like stoke these social politics and be like, blame somebody else, blame anybody else but us, like the ones that are doing it, just to avoid the class consciousness. And it's always historically worked.
it's this line, which is, I mean, I'm just arguing causation, I guess, but there sure is a large body of evidence that formed my opinion on this, where it's like, fears stoked by war had unleashed dark forces of xenophobia and political retribution against leftists, unionists, immigrants, etc. And I'm like, maybe it has something to do with the fact that they just had this general strike where all the rich people had to flee the town, and they were desperate to redirect that energy to something else, such as against leftists, immigrants, like, you know, the same exact shit that they do today because it continues to work.
Right.
It's funny that they were like, you can't do any German stuff. German composer Wagner is banned, and I'm like, well, he's banned today, but for like woke reasons. Woke reasons. So like, he's a Nazi. I'm like, he was not alive for the. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna like die on the hill of Richard Wagner, but I'm not gonna feel bad about Flight of the Valkyries either. It's a fucking cool song. All right, last one of these. Myth: the collapse of the strike on its 6th day was historically important, and then it nipped a potential Bolshevik-style revolution from starting on the West Coast. I mean, we could only have hoped.
Right. And
But
if you play that out, like if that had worked, then other places would try it, and then it could turn into a national, thing. So they obviously had to stamp that out. And
you can see the writer here, where they're like, no, they were there was never going to be revolution. Right-wing people pushed the idea. I'm like, why is it seen as a bad thing? Like, we could have just we could have knocked out so much nonsense if we'd done our Bolshevism back in 1919. Where it's
right.
like, truth: strike motivations were complicated. The failure to acknowledge this has long contributed to the granddaddy of all Seattle strike myths, the squelched revolution theory. This is owing in no small manner to the post-strike grandstanding of Mayor Hansen, who departed on a national speaking tour and launched a presidential bid by taking credit for strong-arm tactics that he said surely saved the country from its own Bolshevik revolution. And it's like, well, if you did, this is the worst guy ever, even though he's incorrect. That was not gonna, we weren't one mayor away from national revolution. We had a guy run for president that they had to put in jail, William Z. Foster. He was a Communist Party guy. They were so scared of him maybe winning that they put him in jail, and he ran from jail, and he still got millions of votes. That's the situation we were in back 100 years ago. That's where we were with communists, and now it's like you can't even frickin' say the word. All right, that is the end of me talking about the Seattle strike.
That kind of just goes to show that, if there was ever, we had the one main revolution 300 years ago, and we're gonna pretty much, we have never done one since. What we're seeing now, if you want to have a kind of a historical precedent, because we do like to bring that in, what you're looking at now is, it looks a lot like the Vietnam protests. Clashes with police in the street.
Oh, just to freaking thing important about the Seattle thing. There was no deaths, no violence, it was fine. There was no big riots.
Yeah, and that's always the liberal argument, right? That's always if you don't have why did you have a gun if you didn't want to start a problem? Why didn't you just do what the cop told you to do instead of eating 5 bullets? Why did it's always a stupid argument that they want to make. It's always liberals that want to do this. Except here lately, that as Jared brought up at the top of the hour, which is we're hearing a lot of these Second Amendment people have gotten real quiet here all of a sudden about all of this, except for apparently a MMA, what was it, a wrestler or MMA fighter?
Jake Shields.
Yeah, right.
Jake Shields is fun because he almost gets it all the time.
I hate that. I can't stand it.
I don't think he's a rando paid commentator. I think he's just a guy who happens to have a large audience who just kind of has some
but then
genuine
again, that
curiosity.
is what people need to be doing. If I'm seeing a lot of. There's been a lot of. It's award season in the Hollywood scene, right? So you have a lot of these get-togethers and luncheons sponsored by Variety magazine and shit, and photo shoots and actors talking to actors and kind of just dumb kitschy shit, right? But for the it's always sort of been the position of Hollywood, and people, a few people would speak out. Most people were so untouched by whatever was going on that they just couldn't be bothered, or were too liberal, whatever. But right now you're seeing kind of a trend towards them saying I usually stay out of politics, but, and it's I pretty much always avoid, but so now you're seeing this kind of weird uptick of everybody has an opinion now, right? Whether it's right or wrong, but it's now all these people who normally would have just enjoyed their money, right, and enjoyed their life, are now out here, saying I think I need to speak up, or I'm wearing a no ice button, or something like this. but I'm not making fun of them exactly. What I mean, I am, but they can take it, right? But what I'm also saying is like, yeah, like this Jake Shields character, like get out there to your audience and say some shit. It doesn't really necessarily if it's like right or wrong or whatever. People will, take you down for it or whatever. It doesn't matter. But
A lot of
say
politics
something.
from fighters recently.
Right? Like get out there and say something. If you've got an audience, if you don't have an audience, get out there and fucking say something because that is, and again, we all basically not the wealthy and the prestigious among us, but we all are running the risk of getting the having our doors kicked in and being told, oh, we've got a warrant and you've been saying the things. Like they're doing that in Australia, they're doing it in Britain. We talked about it I think last week. And in Florida, somebody got got a knock on their door because they were saying something lukewarm against the mayor or whatever. So
last week.
Right, yeah. So it's like we all are running that risk, but and maybe like then that's again why there's been so much censoring and selling and deals being made about social media to shut people up and to stop people from talking. Now I think the terms of TikTok are like you literally can't say anything anti-Zionist.
I've heard that the new TikTok algorithm just is like no news. There's just not like neither direction. It's just like no politics. That's just,
right.
Like, people who make videos are like I have literally 0 views on this politics video. Like oh geez.
Yeah, so we're all basically running that risk, but like you still have to do it. Like this is like what's going on. This is what we don't, it's not that we don't want to be here. Like we enjoy talking, spending this hour a week. It's like for us, it's like, going to lunch and shit talking once a week.
I like watching people slowly get it, kind of.
Yeah, but that's the thing too. It's like you've got to use the platform, how the platform was intended, and then just keep working around it. And if you have to, I don't like the fact that when people are so worried about bots or pushback that they're using like
we're already talking about like unalive.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
File and all that.
Or like
shit.
If they're gonna say the word rape, they use like a picture.
They say grape.
Great, exactly. It's like I'm gonna fucking kill myself if I have to read another post
I hate anytime anybody says literally 1984, but one of the plots in 1984 is that they're trying to reduce people's language down so they can't express thoughts. And I remember that George Orwell worked directly for the British government and turned in people for being suspected communists or suspected homosexuals as a couple of his things. So you don't talk about 1984 that much because it was supposed to be an anti-communist book, and then you read it, you're like, oh, that's just where we live now, though.
That's just how
like,
things are.
This
exactly.
is.
And that's kind of the mess that we're in. It's like, no, none of us really know where because we do refer to history as we just did, but we don't know where this is going ultimately. When I sit here and say it seems like the government's trying to start a civil war with people, like are they or aren't they? Does that happen? Will that materialize? What's their goal if so? So we don't.
And then you add in the background economics of like gold and securities and crypto and all that shit, and it's like, that part isn't really holding together very well. I don't like saying like, oh, just wait, the collapse is inevitable and you don't have to do anything and it'll just happen automatically, because I don't think that's exactly it. But I don't know if we need to take extreme action to try and like disassemble the current state, because it's kind of disassembling itself. It's the China like do nothing win, which is why my advice is always like read a book, talk to your neighbors, because when shit goes down, it's going to be the people directly around you who, hey, can I borrow your truck or whatever, like because there is something's gonna happen, just like mathematically.
We're heading towards something. There was something, some of them were like techie futurism reported on this. That I guess there was a simulation done recently, by some scientists or something, who they used a simulation that ultimately predicted that this is how this is how civil war starts, essentially. Like with using this government agency as domestic terrorists and with like no sort of consequence or pushback or anything. That's like a lot, having this sort of terror squad attack people and then people start to get to where they're pushing back in some form or fashion. I'm really, really surprised that there hasn't been anyone like a shooting like of ICE agents like in these
I was thinking about that when I was walking around, and I just think of the movie Eddington, because it's like, because I'm like, dude, inevitably someone's gonna fucking blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, but if that happens, which it probably will, it's gonna be a situation where you look into it, and it's like, oh, it was like a false flag thing that, or
absolutely,
this
yeah,
agent did it.
I was gonna say that too. Like, yeah, like if that happens, and that's why I'm confused about the pacing of everything that's going on here, because
how much is intentional, how much
because okay, what's actually happening? Whether okay, let's remove intent here from this. American people are just trying to live, and that's not working, right? So on top of that, then the government, both arms of the government, are now using death squads to come out and literally shoot people who are, you know, in the street and whatever, doing their own thing. So now we have people can't live, and we're getting shot in the street. Okay, so like, what is the end game for anybody on this? You know, and it's like if they do a false flag situation, like okay, like you're still not winning favor with people. You're just making people more and more angry and giving them ideas at this point, right?
They're hoping we're scared enough that we'll beg for authoritarianism.
Yeah,
we'll beg for crackdown.
It does seem like, well, at least at first, it seemed like the intention was to be allowed to invoke the Insurrection Act or martial law, right? Okay. But again, what does that really get anybody or do for anybody, or you know, what is the end game? What do they, because we've talked about this before, you know, the government just in terms of elections or likability, they have these analytics firms that they pay millions of dollars to look into the future, essentially, to look at polling, you got polls, and like look at how people's social media and use algorithms on like how do people feel about this, that, or the other. Turns out they're pretty mad about not being able to afford food. That's usually a bad fucking sign, right? So then they give that, you know, data to the politicians or whatever, and then they go out and say, I'm going to campaign on you guys get to eat and you guys get to eat, and then they don't. But the thing is that, you know, it's just a big cycle. It's a game. So they do have essentially soothsayers, if you will. Like they do have data-backed firms who are digging up this information to say like, okay, you got about 2 more years before like these people riot and are cutting your fucking heads off.
They're using Trump for these next 2 years to push through as much horse shit as they can. He's done. I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah,
his presidency is over. Effectively, it's just full deep state now. Like
it is, it really is. And again, they don't hide that fact. They let him bumble around like an idiot, acting, saying and stuff, dumb shit, and being just himself, who was never qualified for this job to begin with, and always a patsy. They just let him do his thing. Well,
George W., where everyone's like, that guy isn't doing anything. It's like, that's what this is. Yeah,
he's not. This is one whole presidency of mission accomplished.
Who's like, the Dick Cheney of Trump? And the answer is the entire apparatus.
Yes, that's exactly right. They have made the government has figured out that the role of president is obsolete. So you want to sit there and talk about
near that guy's head, and he's like, "I get the message, sir," and did exactly what they
you get. This is what puppet government is, right? We do not have leadership or a leader. We have now.
What about AOC? She's a leader.
Right. Well, what we have is these corporations now, and again, there's only so many. They're paying both sides. There's not good corporations and bad corporations, guys. Sorry to inform you about this. Only the good guys give money to the Democrats, and only the bad guys give money to Republicans. That's not how it fucking works.
Nicola, you sound like a cynic and a defeatist. You share the same story that authoritarians do, that nothing is worth trying. The conclusion is foregone.
I'm just like, wake up, sheeple. Like, that's what I'm trying to do here. It's like, I just want to inform people, like, your vote doesn't matter. The president isn't real. Like, you know, I'm getting pulled off the stage, right? Like, that's what I'm trying to say in my acceptance speech. I'm like, the president's not real. This world's bullshit. Anyway.
But I'm reading from this AOC tweet, which came out like yesterday. Like she tweeted this like a couple of days ago. Right, is all the, you know, in the middle of everything, and it's more. I don't know how many real people are still going for this. Maybe if you're really young, like if you're just turning 18 and just getting into it, maybe you're like, oh, the good team. But like, just to give you
anybody else, you should know better by now. Goddamn it.
AOC is running cover for Hakeem Jeffries. Jeffries won't whip vote against ICE funding, and this was before it's a new big funding bill. I think it's DHS, Department of Homeland Security. those bills are going through now, and they've passed the House, and now they're going to the Senate, where they can either shut down the government or pass it. And last time they shut down the government for a second and then just passed it anyway. So like that's probably what'll happen this time. Maybe
they
they'll
also
shut it down
know
for
that
a
the
week.
Republicans in charge, because they've done it twice already, will just shut the fucking government down and let it be.
And I'm over here like, that's fine, shut it down. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Bye.
Shut it down, ship it, pack it up, and ship it off. Go to Epstein Island, all of you, and enjoy your government over there. You can govern each other real hard up the ass all day. And you'll see these freaking, like, all the Democrats are going, it's time to abolish Trump's ice. Only Trump's ice, though. The regular ice, the good ice. Again,
the good ice, right?
These
yeah,
agents
right?
were hired under Obama, under Biden, under Trump, under Bush. It doesn't, like, why are we trying to make this like the ICE agents like sign a D or an R? They'll put it on their chest. Democrat. I'm a Democrat.
Well, because that is incendiary. Trump itself, using the word Trump is a buzzword. It's a keyword.
It's pretty great because I will bring up stuff like the Standing Rock protest under Obama, where in freezing conditions they were blasting water on people in weather a lot like today in Dakota. I can't remember which Dakota. I think it's south, but I'm not sure. And that was under Obama. And I had people arguing with me that doesn't count as like Obama's thing. Like he doesn't own that, even though he was the president. And I'm like, well, then why does Trump own this? Aren't you up there saying like, well, it's not Trump actually, it's it's, let me bend over backwards and do some twists here to make sure that I don't have to even lightly criticize a guy who will never be president again, a former president who was president when this guy was probably a fucking teenager, and instead I have to hear about so that's where like a lot of liberals actually are. They still cannot even take you slandering one of their saints, Obama.
Don't
there's
cite
a reason
the old ways to me, which I was there.
Yes. So I have a friend who was at Standing Rock. And like it's like doesn't it make you feel better that Obama might have like gone about that, right? Because they're trying to make the argument that Obama was doing his best to. It's like what?
Or like when Sandy Hook happened and he went to give a speech and he cried a little.
When he took that half a fake sip of Flint water right in front of everybody.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He's like, see, look. It's like, why even do it, man? Just get some fucking Dasani, put it and chug it. Like, at least do the propaganda better. Like, do this fake shit better. Trump's ice, this version of ice, fucking useless morons.
This version? What's the alternative version? That again, like that's why we're so frustrated here. It's because we're, there's obviously what's going on. The right is always going to make up lies and bullshit and say whatever. You never take them seriously. But what you can't deal with is the crap the legitimizing effect that liberals have. What the liberals are always trying to do. And it's like, what is your fucking agenda here? Like one guy is going to make it go away. These are the people who think voting works. Like they want to tell you have to vote.
It sounds like they'll be like, oh, see, all the most evil people are trying to convince you not to vote because the only real way to... Guys, at this point, the bare minimum is abandon both parties and acknowledge that you will never be It's like my V-Bucks analogy. You can't overthrow Fortnite from within Fortnite. There's no button that does that. Yeah. There's no menu you can go to that says overthrow Fortnite and let me run it. No, Tencent. Tencent owns Fortnite, whatever, Chinese company.
That's an extremely effective analogy, honestly.
You can't go inside our system and change it. It has because you can go through historically, and whatever attempt you're thinking of right now, many people have tried it. Go look up what happened. They were either killed, or they're like Dennis Kucinich, where they just made his district stop existing. The far left communist radical Dennis Kucinich. Like, he was too scary. Fucking, what was it, Cory Booker or one of them? Like, somebody else had their district just taken away because they were this they're like, they didn't fully condemn the protests against Israel in New York. So like,
and then
sorry, man,
the line,
you're out.
Like when he was kind of a firebrand when he started, and people were like, "Oh, listen to this guy
pulling fire alarms."
At his time, honestly. Yeah, and then somebody pulled the lever, he hit the stick to the back of their neck. There
was a vote. Right? There was a vote, and he pulled a fire alarm to delay the vote slightly.
Oh, right.
It was very funny because he's like, I didn't even know it was a fire alarm, and it's like,
Jesus,
you were a school principal.
And he's one of the worst liberal offenders that there are. He is one of the ones that have been like, we just need to give ICE more money and trade them. So.
They only have 47 days of training. I'm like, that guy had been on the force for 10 years.
Right. Yeah. And so had the other one that in the Alex
like 6
Pretti
years.
murder was like 8 years, an 8-year veteran, something like this. So yeah, that's like no. Final word on this: no, training in body cams is not going to fix the fucking problem. So, and then also, it's worth pointing out when this passed the House, the bill to fund ICE more passed the House. They did have some Republican dissent.
One.
Guess how many Democrats came through to 7. 7. The exact amount needed to override the dissenters. So who will be on their way out at this point anyways? And I mean, look at people like, unfortunately, like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They pushed a little too hard and they got unplugged and removed. So as Jared often says, from the apparatus, they were unplugged and removed, and new people are going to get plugged into their place.
I want to look it up because I haven't checked, but I would bet some amount of money that the single Republican who voted against it is probably Thomas Massey.
Oh yeah, right.
He's like the only guy, because Marjorie Taylor Greene's, I don't know if she's fully out yet, but it could have been her, I guess.
I think she's all the way out at this point, but
is she fully? Because you're not out until the next. Like, don't you have to get to the midterm and then they vote to replace you?
She's leaving in January, but I don't know if that means January 1st or January whatever if we are now. So
because then they just vote.
January's lasted like 3 months, so I don't know. And also, it's not like I'm like watching what she's doing, like I don't fucking know. But the kind of the whole idea here is that like, it's exactly what Jared's saying. You're not going to be able to defeat this problem from within. This is going to take outside people forming outside apparatus of their own, which could take a gajillion years. And maybe that is what these analysts and analytics have told the government members now. Hey, these people are going to cut your heads off. And they're trying to get ahead of it.
I think the timeline is far shorter than most people would assume. Because even like the Russian Revolution, like Lenin went from him and 10 guys in a room to full-on revolution like 10 years. It's not it takes centuries. It's like, it takes more than a couple of minutes. But depending on the situation, if you can seize on the thing at the right time. And actually, if you want to know more about the old Soviet Union, how it came to be, and even more so how it was viciously and illegally dissolved by outside forces, our good friend, wonderful leftist man whose work should be heavily celebrated,
scholar and
Michael Parenti,
all around good dude. And again, the thing about Michael Parenti is the fact that he was like a little more relevant to our time. Like instead, like you read Marx and it's like, yeah, this makes sense, but like
Parenti was coming about at the when the frickin' Soviet Union was collapsed. It had like just collapsed, and I'll listen to like I'll watch old school Marxists type, and like people have been doing this shit since like the 50s. Yeah, right. old people, and they're like, Parenti was the only one out there holding it down. Everybody was it's over, this doesn't work, it's the end of history, like it's just liberalism, blah blah blah. And Parenti was out there, never freaking changed a dang thing.
Yeah, a very solid voice, unchanging voice.
Do you guys know? Does this picture, if you've seen footage, for some reason, this very it's called the yellow lecture, because for some reason the video footage is so deeply yellow.
Yeah, you see it all the time, and it's like, well, somebody just like, adjust the color on this or something. It's driving me crazy.
He's got so many awesome quotes come out of this speech. If you want to, like that, I would recommend that. If you're listening to this, don't know who Parenti is, just Google Parenti yellow speech. Type that into YouTube.
And we bring it up because, again, right in the middle of all of this bullshit, he passed away. So at age 92. So pretty good run. He stuck to his morals and values throughout that entire time, and gives you a lot to think about. And it
I'm not going to read a whole big thing, but what I want to do is this is Black Shirts and Reds. I got my own copy like 3 days before he died, coincidentally. This is the I've heard people refer to this as like the automatic turn you into a communist book. Like if you finish this book, you will finish it a commie. And here's the table of contents. It's not just like table of content. There's little paragraphs for each thing. I want to read these, and then I'm going to try to play this music video, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
He talks
it
about
worked earlier. It'll work again.
You see, it's rational fascism and the overthrow of communism. So, like Chapter 1, Section 1, rational fascism. Fascism historically has been used to secure the interest of large capitalist interests against the demands of popular democracy. Then and now, fascism has made irrational mass appeals in order to secure the rational ends of class domination. Section 2. Let us now praise revolution. Revolutions are democratic developments that expand the freedoms of people who enjoyed no freedom under oppressive pre-revolutionary regimes. Revolutions are a mass empowerment against the forces of exploitative privilege. They bring a dramatic reduction in political and economic oppression. 3. Left anti-communism. Like conservatives and reactionaries, most of the U.S. left greeted communism in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe with fear and loathing, and with idealized expectations that took no account of Western encirclement and the survival necessities of socialism under siege. 4. Communism in Wonderland. The internal irrationalities and weaknesses of past communist economies and the systemic reasons why productivity stagnated and reforms were so difficult to effect. He wrote this pre-China. I'm sure he mentions it in here somewhere, but like, ooh. 5. Stalin's fingers. Newly published documentation on the Gulag reveals a somewhat different picture of the repressive nature of communist systems, both in the past and in recent times. The historic accomplishments in economic development within communist countries represented a positive gain in the lives of hundreds of millions. Got 2 more of these. 6. Free market paradise goes east. So this is the fall. He goes he goes through the beginning. Talks about like what was like Soviets, like have the whole Stalin blah blah. Oh, it's if you care about the gulags, you're like Stalin killed a quadrillion people. Read this book. Repression by conservative forces in the former communist states in the name of democratic reform. Privileges from pre-communist days restored to the old owning class. Western investors plunder the public sector at great profit to themselves, reducing the former communist countries to third world levels. If you want to know why Putin is so popular, look at Russia in 1994, and then look at Russia now. And that's why. It's not because he's some magic, like, cult of personality talking head man. It's the living conditions improved, and most citizens, at least most who vote, recognize that and appreciate it, so they keep voting for him. The emergence of free market. Imagine how popular a U.S. politician would be if you could note a marked improvement in living conditions. They could be our emperor. We would elect them till the end of time. The emergence of free market rapacity and growing inequality, widespread crime, social maladies, and victimization, especially of women, children, and the elderly, and the poor. The third worldization and cultural decay of formerly collectivist societies, where he's going to start talking about one of the, oh man, it's sad. One of the chapter headings is a quote. It's, "We didn't realize what we had." Talk to like old Yugoslavian ladies now, and they're like, man, communism was great. Like, not even great, just like compared to now.
Yeah.
People who grew up where it's like, yeah, I was in this apartment. Yeah, it wasn't fancy, but it was ours, and it was secure and solid, and people weren't like shooting up in the streets and all this shit. And now you have a current day Eastern Europe, which is in a comeback tour. There's improvement, but holy crap, 1991, which is the year that the Soviet Union officially was dissolved, things did not get. I can't think of a country where stuff got better. It's like, oh yeah, Croatia was really kicking ass in '96. Like, everything in those countries, you look like, oh, what's that building? Well, the Soviets back in like.
Right. Yeah.
The Soviets are running through, ravaging our countries and leaving behind schools and hospitals.
Yeah, and again, you're starting to see. I mean, not with the liberal class, but you know, a lot more people who are coming over to the leftist side of things are not looking at like this whole like, oh, Putin is controlling Trump shit. Like, all right, enough, fucking enough. You know, like, but the liberals are still hanging on to that. It's like, okay, is this 10 years ago? Like, is this the first presidency? There's like, you know, and a quick note on this is like, there's also like, oh, NATO, no, fuck NATO. No, I don't, you know, this whole Greenland thing or whatever dumb shit. Like, if he blunders into fucking up NATO, like, that's a good thing. And
it'd be awesome.
You know,
it'd be the ultimate achievement of his presidency.
Right, yeah, that would be exactly the real achievement of his presidency.
NATO
all right, guys.
was formed to fight communism, and the Soviet Union fell in '91. Why are we still doing it?
Right? Okay, so yeah, we're right about the top of the hour, but Jared is going to treat us now, or hopefully, if everything goes as it should, is going to treat us to a new song and music video. It's both, right? Both new?
Yes, new song and the video.
I'll let you talk about it. I don't need to talk about it. You do it.
This is called I Wanna Go 80, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It'll be on my website in 2 days, which is peppercoyote.bandcamp. If you type in like Bandcamp, I Wanna Go 80, the title of the song, it'll probably come up. And then it will be on all the streaming stuff. Hopefully soon. I submitted it. It's just waiting for like approval, and it's been over a week, but probably by February. All right, I hope you like it. See everybody next week.
Go the good Christian speed.
I see. I have to do 2 buttons. 1,
Okay.
2, go.
I wanna go the good Christian speed. I wanna go 80. I wanna get to where I need. I wanna go 80. I will always comply with speed limit signs posted by the relevant authority. I want to go 80. Do not play this track in court. In fact, this sort of tactic proves nothing. I wanna go the good Christian speed. I wanna go 80. I wanna get to where I need. I wanna go 80 when I drive between the I-17 to get sour cream. I'm so free. Get out of the left lane. Use your left brain. Open up your eyes. Stuck behind 5 cars in sequence. Horizontal defense gonna scream and interrupt their daydream. I wanna go the good Christian speed. I wants to go 80. I wanna get from A to B. I wanna go 80. Open up your eyes and realize that there are other cars on the road. You're in the fast lane and you're going 55. Boiling my plan to caravan and jam with people who can see that we have places to be.
Yeah, that's it. That's the stuff. All black shirts and reds. Yeah, breed it. That's it. Hope you guys liked it.
Yes.
See you next week.
I did. Bye.